Yeah,
Ah.
let's do this.
All right, so welcome everyone to the virtual conversation for the Sustain RT Mentorship Program. We're really excited. This program is brand new, and so this is our very first virtual conversation for it. Just to review, my name is Danny Scott, by the way. I'm really sorry, I'm having technical problems. So I am both on the phone and going to pop up as a person on your screen there, but I don't have video. So here we are. So just to review, so the mentorship program, our intention in starting this program was to connect seasoned librarians, and that could mean a lot of different things, but it turns out that a lot of librarians that signed on as mentors have lots and lots of experience, some 20 years plus. So connecting those folks with LIS students and librarians within their first 3 years or so of professional work to support their growth and learning, especially around topics of sustainability. So that looks like a lot of different things, but our mentors have experience with creating programs around sustainability, academic and non-academic writing on environmental topics, and creating green library spaces, amongst other things. And today we're going to speak until about 4 o'clock. So just to have an idea of the time, if you have to, dip in and out or dip out at some point, that's completely fine. It's whatever you can do. And so this is being hosted by the membership committee that is made up of Jamie Conklin, who's the chair, Madeline Charney, Danny Scott, Brian Thompson, and Marcia Bailey, who is our board liaison. So if you would be so kind as to just let us know where you're joining us from today. So in the chat box, if you want to type in where you are and maybe also who you're paired with, that might be nice to hear. We'll just give you a little bit of time to do that.
You want someone to go first?
Oh, we're just typing into the chat box right now.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Thanks, David.
No problem. Okay. I thought it was oral. I see it.
Oh, no.
But Danny, maybe you want to read them off, or should somebody? Just so...
Sure. Yeah. I will. I was just seeing them accumulate here. So Matthew's joining us from New York, and it looks like he's paired with Sarah. Craig is from Norwich, Connecticut, or at least joining us from Norwich. And we've got Jamie Conklin. She's in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And Madeline is at UMass Amherst, and she is paired with Jen Ripka. Oh, it looks like Jen's from Chicago. Carolyn West is a grad student at Dominican University, paired with Kayla. And I am from Hartford Public Library. I don't have a mentee. I am very new to the library world. Marcia is from Ann Arbor, Michigan, University of Michigan. David is joining us from Colorado, and he is paired with Ariel. And I didn't catch where Ariel is from. Maybe she can type that in. And then Eric Tanz is from East Lansing, Michigan, and paired with Tenley. That's right, at Wayne State.
I just have to jump in and say, this is so exciting. You know, when you just have this idea, like we should have a mentorship program, and then you start growing it, and then you all showed up, and like, I'm having a kind of surreal moment. Like, we're doing it, we're here. Okay, that's all.
Thank you, Madeline. No, it is really exciting. This just started with like a conversation I think between myself, Jamie, and Madeline, and you know, it has blossomed for sure.
Actually,
and,
just to
go ahead.
remind ourselves, this was actually a request from many of the LIS students when we did about a year and a half ago, we did a conversation with, because we have so many new LIS student members, and we kept hearing we would love a mentorship program. So it actually did grow out of a real request.
Oh, that's great. I wasn't here for that, but that's really exciting to know that it came from students themselves. Oh, and Ariel just wrote she is coming from Manhattan, Kansas. All right, so I think that's everyone. So maybe we can move on to the agenda here. So we're first going to just do a little update on what's happening with Sustain RT and how you can get involved with Sustain RT. There's lots of different ways. And then we'll go over a little bit about what the mentorship program is all about, just to remind ourselves. And then hopefully we will hear from you all, and we'll listen to you share some of the stories that you have.
All right, everybody, this is Jamie, and we always like to take a little bit of time at any of the conversations we're having to just give an update on what's happening from the membership committee's perspective. And so upcoming events for Sustain RT in 2020, can't believe it. There's always in the spring a call for committee volunteers, so he's always asking you if that's something that you can do and are interested in. We'd love to have you as volunteers. There will be some educational webinars in the spring. They have not, there's another committee that puts these together a lot of times, but they haven't selected the topics yet, but they're like, pay attention in the spring, there will be some coming up. And then another thing that Sustain RT is doing next year is celebrating the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. And they have put together this Google form where they're crowdsourcing ideas. So you can go onto the form and make suggestions that other library staff across Sustain RT membership and ALA can take part in these activities. Oh yeah, so I should say, Madeline put this into the chat, thanks Madeline, that the committees are in Sustain RT are governance, outreach, online education, membership, and programming. And then midwinter, I'm not sure how many of you are going to MLA midwinter. Sadly, I won't be going, but there is an option to ride your bike from New York to Philadelphia. And so I provided the link there. Actually, Madeline, would you be able to put that in the chat box as well? Or I can grab that in a moment. And then there are 2 Sustain RT programming events going on. One is Saturday from 3 to 4. That's the business meeting and the membership meeting that you're invited to. And then a sustainability programming and libraries discussion taking place on Sunday. And then in the future, if you just want to stay tuned into what's going on in Sustain RT, that is our website there. So bookmark it. Pay attention.
I'm wondering who on the call is going midwinter. Maybe just put it in the chat.
Oh yeah.
And especially who's riding their bike. I was like so amazed. People are, wow, I'm impressed.
Thanks, Danny, for sharing the link. And I've heard too, I believe they're tossing around the idea of having a social where Sustain RT members can get together, but I think it's a challenge in midwinter to do some kind of activity in a space because you never know what the weather's going to be like. So I'm not sure where that was left off, but to be determined. And then this slide just shows all the different ways that you can get involved. Not all of them, but many ideas if you are interested, even if you can't commit to doing a committee volunteer position. We're always looking for special projects that we could toss out and work on, always in need of blog content, or if you want to pitch an idea for a webinar, we definitely are welcome to any topics you would suggest. And then if you want to run that or know people who could do those, planning events, even if you can do something more locally at your own institution, talking to LIS students in a program in your area. So these are just a variety of ways to get involved. And of course, you're already involved in the mentoring, so that's great.
Did you go through them all?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we do have a comment in the chat. So Matthew, if you go by Matt, is planning a social event at midwinter in the ALA counselor suite for all people who like the earth. Love it.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to qualify about being an intern that Danny here on the call today was our inaugural intern. And that is still a possibility if anyone on the call, or if you know someone who's in an LIS program. It worked out really well to be sort of hopping between the different committees, and Danny was so helpful. And I won't speak for you, but I think that it was a beneficial experience. So that's what we mean when we say intern.
Yes, and I put my email in the chat for anyone who would like to talk about, you know, my experience and what that was like and what it could be like, because it was a fantastic experience for me.
Good.
Okay, now we will hear from who is going to explain our program?
Brian was meant to do that. Is Brian on?
I don't think so.
Would you be willing to do it, Madeline, or is that?
Yes, I would be happy to. So here's just the basics. I mean, everyone here, I believe, is involved, but just to kind of reinforce the program overview. This is our first pilot, we're calling it. We're going from September through May. Each of us are paired with one other person, and we matched you up based on applications, and then we talked amongst ourselves, me, Jamie, and Danny. We're suggesting that you be in touch 1 or 2 times a month, however it works for you. My mentee, Jen Ripka, is a public librarian, and she actually was not able to get any time during her workday to do the mentoring. So we actually meet in the evenings on the phone, which is working out great. So, you know, it's totally flexible, whatever works for the pair. And I hope you've all been getting the great emails that Danny's been sending at the top of each month with just a suggested prompt if you're needing a little jump start to your conversation. They've been really great. Maybe we could paste them into the chat in a little while, because they are in our Google Doc, and we can sort of remind you what some of them are. And then just a reminder, you can always contact me or Danny if you have any questions about the program or need any kind of extra support. And keep your eyes open, because later in December, we're going to send you a very simple evaluation just to check in more formally and see if you have any feedback or questions. So then we wanted to just open it up to you all. And do you think we should go on the mic? Because we are pretty small. This is sort of our story sharing section. So Jamie, Danny, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. If people would like to unmute themselves and then talk about their experience, that would be great.
Yeah, so this is now all about you all who took the time to join us. This is just some questions to stimulate, you know, how is it going? What's changed for you? What are you getting out of it? What are you hoping to get out? So I'm going to mute myself, and people can just go popcorn style and jump in.
I can start. Kayla will be coming on. She's in a meeting presently, but she said she'll pop on after her meeting. We've met once. I know she's been very busy, and I've been busy with grad school. But we are meeting again this Friday. She's in Florida, and I'm looking to move to Florida and do my internship in Florida. So we're talking about that. I've given her my resume to look on, and it's helping me to develop confidence and guidance on my career path. But with our one conversation, we just got to know each other first and talked what my goals were and what I saw. So we'll hopefully talk more on Friday about that. But it's going great. I love her, and so far, I look forward to talking to her more. So yeah, I love the program. Thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn. Anyone else want to hop in? David, you look like you're unmuted. Are you about to talk?
Well, I just didn't know how to quickly mute or unmute. I can talk though. I've been working with Ariel. I'm finally learning how to say her name. But we've met on several occasions on the phone and discussed possible projects and ways to connect with the community and ideas on presentations that she was making, and I really enjoyed it. I'd say, yeah, Ariel was new to the Manhattan, Kansas community, and we were brainstormed together on ways to find out what resources are available to support sustainability, and also what organizations might be available, people resources or groups to join possibly, and I think it's worked out fairly well for her. I've just really enjoyed it. It's been nice to work with someone who shares a similar passion, and I'm at the point where I've worked in sustainability for quite a while before people knew much about what it meant. So I got into a state where I'm somewhat burnt out, even though I think I've accomplished a lot. I've done a lot of presentations and created a green office committee at work and done a bunch of things. So it was good I felt like I got re-energized by talking with someone else about, their ideas, and also I appreciate it on that end too. So I don't know if Ariel has anything to add.
Sure, I can jump in. Yeah, it's been really great getting mentorship from David. I think I'm on. I hope so.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I'm mobile right now because my day's a little bit weird, but like David said, I'm new to Manhattan and I'm new to librarianship. I came over from the archive world. And so like the advocacy and outreach is pretty different on the library side of things. And so David's been really helpful just to talk about ways that he has spearheaded different projects in his community and the different challenges that I might come across like a more rural community, but just the value of creating conversations around values that we all share, despite the differences that people might have and how some things might seem polarizing at first. So David's been really helpful for me to help me get some of the bigger picture things. And I have been talking to the institution that I work for now about like green sustainability, and I'm trying to push forward some different projects. And then I presented a poster at a state level conference, and hearing all of David's experience was really helpful to just prepare me for the types of things that I might get questioned on. And sorry, that's my dog. And obviously, and just how sometimes it takes incremental steps to get to sustainability goals. So it's been.
That's so great. Thank you for sharing. I want to take a moment from the chat, and Craig said that he's having trouble getting on the mic, but he says, I just want to chime in that my experience as a mentee has been that this has been an incredibly helpful program as I try to think through and apply what it means to be someone interested in sustainability in a professional setting. It's not always easy to figure out how to do that And having insights and ideas from an experienced mentor has been very helpful as I think about my relationship to my library community. Thanks for sharing that, Craig. And also, I want to welcome Nisha and Evie to the group. They joined after we got started, so welcome to both of you. And we're just on the mic now, if either of you or anybody wants to jump in and tell what's happening in their mentorship experience. I'll just add, I had the sweetest start to my mentoring conversation with Jen Ripka because we started talking about our backgrounds, and it turns out that she had just graduated from Knox College with my niece and that they were actually very good friends. This is out in Illinois. So that was just like a really nice personal connection. And I'm really enjoying talking to someone in the public sector because I am in academia, but my roots are in the public library. So it was interesting when we were matching people up and we tried to do academic with academic, but I think this mixing is also really cool. And when I joined Sustain RT, I became much more connected to the public library world again. Before that, I was just like stuck in my ivory tower. So just a general benefit of being part of the roundtable has been intermingling, which I find is like so strengthening to the profession and working across all library types. So I'm really glad Jen couldn't join today, but that I get to talk every month or more with someone from a public library.
I would second that experience. This is Nisha. I would second that experience. I just realized I don't know how to say my mentee's name. Lincia? I should know, but we mostly email back and forth. Anyway, she's in archives and preservation, which is an area that I really actually know very little about, but it's talking with her or conversing, corresponding is very informative, and I think preservation is one of those areas where sustainability would make a really big difference.
Thank you, Nisha.
This is Evie. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me.
It's a little fuzzy, but we can hear you. Hi, Evie from Denver.
Hi. So I'm on the phone with you, but looking at the computer, so I'm not quite sure how this is working with these two functions. So unfortunately, I made some contact with my mentee on email, but the timing didn't work out, and so we've not had a conversation on the phone yet. So here we are 3 months into this program, and I mean, the tone of our emails sounds good, but somehow the 2 times that we were going to have a phone conversation, she wasn't there. So I have a sense that she's very busy, and because we haven't had that introductory getting to know each other, maybe like I'm on her, lower down on her list of things to do, or she's just got so much going on. So anybody have a little trouble getting started, and how to maybe infuse the communication to try to get the phone call going?
Well, while people are thinking of how to respond, I just want to say, Evie, don't sweat it. It's okay. Having some email is just a great start, and we have half a year left to go. So, whatever works. It's more like the spirit of things. If somebody really needed to get support from you, you could just make that clear. Like if something specific came out, that you were available. And in the meantime, just try your best. And I think I'm going to move to the next slide also. I think we have some ideas of things to do together. Maybe that will spark some more conversation.
It sounds good.
I also want to just add, in terms of encouraging people, especially if they're new trying to integrate it. I keep returning to the 2019 resolution, which is the sustainability as a core value of librarianship. And Matthew, you might be able to say more as a counselor and being more in touch with the sustainability task force and the report that came out. And I just remind people, like, ALA has the green light, you know, shining brightly. There's all these recommendations that the task force made, the appointed by ALA itself. So it's not like we have to work so hard to justify doing this work. If we feel pushback, I just keep kind of reminding people, like, this has for years now been, you know, initiatives that ALA itself has been trying to further, and that's our work. It's like it's baked into our profession to keep furthering it along all these lines, these recommendations. Can somebody put the link to that report, I think it came out in early 2019, the report of the special task force?
So this is Eric, and I wanted to respond a little bit to what Evie had said. So I'm also, my pairing has taken a little bit more time to get some traction going. And I think that it's just been basically due to the fact that my mentee has been extremely busy. So she was finishing up classes and working and also interning and also applying for jobs. So, you know, every time I would reach out, you know, it was hard to kind of get anything going. We did speak on the phone once. She's now finished her program, and she's actually already been hired and is going to be moving to Texas to take a position. So I'm hopeful that as she settles in down there, we might be able to communicate a little bit more regularly. One of the other things that I've noticed, at least whenever we've been communicating, is that she, I mean, I think that she has a kind of a general interest in sustainability, but it's not really been the focus of what we've talked about. And I've tried to kind of steer the conversation back towards sustainability in libraries. But I think that, you know, she became a member of Sustain RT as a student, and it was free. And I think, you know, it's kind of an area that's a little bit interesting to her, but it's not really what she's going to be building her career around. And so I just need to kind of accept that, I think. I mean, I would like to talk about sustainability with her, continue to have that conversation, but like I need to be able to provide something that is a benefit to her. So, you know, if she's more interested in talking about, you know, being professionally active or, you know, publishing or whatever, you know, non-sustainability type topics, I think that, you know, I'm happy to talk about those things too.
Thanks, Eric. Yeah, I mean, this is life. Things shift and change. And I think it's great that you're nudging toward the sustainability conversation, but there's lots of ways to be supportive, and that might come around later as she gets more sort of acclimated to the profession and maybe gets a little more involved with the roundtable. And I wanted to also welcome Brian Thompson from the membership committee. Brian, feel free to jump in with any reports on your mentorship pair.
Hello.
Hello.
I guess just to follow up on what some others have said, I finally actually met with my pair just last Friday by phone, and we had a great introductory conversation, but that's the first time we've touched base in the 3 months we've going, so it was a delayed response like some others have had, but we kind of have a calendar set up, so we should be able to at least meet once a month, if not more, going forward, hopefully.
Sounds great. Thank you, Brian. Irina, not to put you on the spot, but would you be able to share
Yeah, I was just trying to unmute my mic. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My mentee, Haley, unfortunately could not make it today, although I did touch base with her after getting Brian's reminder. It was on my schedule, but she said she just can't do it today at this time. Again, we are one of those pairs that are academic and public librarian, and I was rather surprised that she's a public librarian, just graduated from the library school in Toronto, and she's working with little kids, doing a lot of programming there. So we've been corresponding through email. I don't know, like maybe monthly, sometimes more often, like maybe twice a month, sometimes a bit less than once a month, but exchanging what we've been doing. I think we do tend to talk about sustainability and just few, I guess I really love that mentoring checklist. I think I'm going to actually look at it closer and draw on this, because goals together, collaborative project, publication sounds really good. We talked about programming. We started some programming in our library now during the finals, you know, stress less, it's very popular. Now in the libraries, we have therapy dogs, and our main libraries, they would do crafts like puzzles and coloring for students. Students just like love to grab some pencils and distress. And I actually decided to be very sustainable, and I brought a lot of pencils and markers and crayons that we still have left since my children were in elementary and middle school. We were always complaining how much the teachers demanded of supplies, and then supplies will come back home, and I could not throw them away because I just think it's wasteful. So I brought them here now, and we are just about to start the events in our library, because today is the last day of classes, tomorrow is the reading day, and then the finals. So students need to de-stress. So I feel myself very sustainable in that way, and I really think we need to come up with some little plan, but we are kind of keeping an eye on what Sustain RT recommends, because Haley actually jotted me and she said, hey, we practically missed November conversation. Remember, they want us to talk about this. So we sort of have to find the time and have a conversation, either through Skype or whatever we can find, but I think we're gonna do it. I like the idea.
Sounds great. Thank you, Irina.
Oh, sure.
About scheduling, this is a perennial problem for many of us. My mentee and I, we just put down our monthly plan in the book, and then if we need to change it, we do, but we just have like a Thursday for us evening hour set aside once a month, if that's helpful. Does anybody else want to share that hasn't yet? Or you could even take a second term. What about you, Tim? He might have had to ring off. Okay.
Madeline, there's been a few chats, so I can read out some of those.
Please do. Yeah.
Carolyn had just made the comment that she and Kayla meet on Skype and set up an appointment a month ahead, knowing they're both very busy. So as you were saying, that might be helpful to plan ahead before your calendar gets booked. Danny posted the report for the ALA Special Task Force on Sustainability, and David had a question: is there an action plan too, or is that in development?
I don't have any information about that specifically, but somewhere I saw I have to get back to Uta, who is the coordinator of I think we're saying coordinator of the coordinating team. And I saw somewhere this really great sort of filling in next to the the steps of all the things that Sustain RT could do to implement this. I think of it as a plan. That whole long spreadsheet with the 54 or so recommendations. So I would say I'm not aware of any plan from ALA, but I think it's up to us as a roundtable and individuals to just start enacting these kinds of things in our libraries. But I don't know, Matthew, if you have any more information as a counselor on what like plans are for implementation, if there's anything more unified in the works.
Oh, you know what? I think Matthew had to drop off the call.
Yeah, this is David. I think in an earlier conversation or something I read, it sounded like they were working on action steps that ALA might adopt. But I could be just dreaming. But that would be great to be filled in on those, or if they need more, input. I think the task force committee looks like they're really well represented.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, we can definitely pass that along to Uta.
Well, and it's a process, and I'm assuming there will be a virtual member meeting sometime, either soon before or after midwinter, and that could be an item that we could ask about having on, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were planning on updating people on that anyway. So
Maybe I saw something in Library Journal, but anyhow, it'd be nice to know at some point. I assume we'll hear.
yeah, I'll ask Uta what's going on, and then see if we can put it on the agenda. I'll just take that opportunity. I'm just curious, did anybody go to either of the climate strikes on September 20th, or there was a lot going on Friday, December 6th as well? Anybody on the ground there? I did strike both times with just as a support for the youth, and I put on my sign from the Anthropocene to the Symbiocene. Do people know that newly coined term, Symbiocene? Yes, David does. I see your head shaking. Glenn Albrecht wrote a book called Earth Emotions, New Word for a New World. New Words for a New World. And I'll just mention it as an aside, but really, I feel flummoxed sometimes trying to talk about what I'm perceiving happening to the planet. It's just it's so mind-boggling, it's hard to articulate. So he's come up with a whole sort of lexicon of talking about what's happening. Symbiocene is a vision. Instead of saying, oh, it's Anthropocene, human-centered, we broke it. It's how can we work together symbiotically, all generations with all systems, natural systems, to create a beautiful, thriving world going forward. So that word always gives me a lift. I keep thinking, how can we co-create the Symbiocene? And I realize now I'm not talking about mentoring so much, but I do try to keep these things in mind when I have climate change related conversations.
Can you say the name of that book again, Madeline?
Yes, Earth Emotions, New Words for a New World. Glenn Albrecht. He's Australian. And I guess whatever we're working on, just sharing that with our mentees, if you're more deeper into this stuff than someone who's very new to the profession and still trying to figure out how to do it, maybe even if it's not so specifically about libraries, just, what are you doing out there in the world? What are you reading, thinking about, caring about? Like we have on our checklist, passing articles, talking about them when you get back on the phone or Skype or email, and just where you're at with the whole thing. I know I feel like I'm on like a constant roller coaster ride of feeling like really pumped and motivated and doing a lot, and then just like falling into a slump. And then I pick myself up again and keep plugging away.
And then also from the chat, Carolyn had mentioned that she's part of a sustainability organization on her campus, and that the organization went to Chicago for part of the strike, but she was in another meeting for grad school. It looks like Evie might have participated in Denver.
Yeah, what was nice about the march, the climate strike in Denver, is there's a strong indigenous youth community here, and they organized a really good march. It was small in number given the number of environmentalists who live in the Denver metro area. However, it was big for its weekly gatherings, and again, I think the indigenous perspective, there's a really sharp awareness of the economic piece and the colonization piece, and that has found its way into the conversation where it was lacking before. And what was kind of ironic is the day before Denver had its Sustainable Denver Annual Summit, which was co-sponsored by an oil refinery north of town, the Suncor Corporation. And so it was odd that they were the co-sponsors of this. And then Jamie Margolin from Seattle spoke, and so did a young man, Thomas, who lives in Denver. And he spoke, and he called Suncor out as like, what is an oil refinery doing co-sponsoring the Sustainability Summit? So there's some interesting contradictions going on. So I think that's playing out in this movement currently, which is good. I'm glad.
Right. I'm in Colorado also, and of course, I keep hearing ads supporting jobs in fossil fuel energy production mostly. And it's, I guess the name of it is, of the group is, maybe Abby knows, citizens support of a clean environment or something. So it sounds like it's very pro-environment, but it's actually, a movement to, protect fossil fuel-based jobs and expansion and all that. But that's a whole another area that's affecting a lot of people is, what are facts and what is truth, and fighting people spreading lies and deceptions and whatever, and you kind of witness from the political atmosphere too. I think for a lot of people, if you keep repeating a lie or a false truth over and over again, people who don't have a lot of time to spend to verify the source and the information, they end up believing it, which is kind of scary. But, usually there's a lot of money to back up false truths or lies.
I just wanted to add that about those student protests, I completely forgot. See, that's how long it's been, September. We had conversations with my students in the class when Greta Thunberg came to States, and then when there were protests, my class was on Thursday and September 20th is Friday. And one of my students actually said that there will be buses from university campus down to the state capitol, because we are Albany, the capital of New York State. There will be buses to join the protest for students. And then when I asked my students, did they go? Some of them did. So I was actually very proud of them.
It's so great. When I hear all these stories of how people are working, on the issues on the ground, I wonder about, like, when are you allowed to do this on work time? And I really like push the envelope a lot at my job. Luckily, I have a supervisor who sees it as part of my job. But I guess what I'm trying to do is make a pitch for the roundtable. Like the more we get involved, the more we do, the more we can show it's like, I'm doing this with my librarian hat on, like the more we get to do it. So I don't know if you can strike on work time. I guess that would be a little ironic, but like showing up for meetings in the community, like down in Springfield, Massachusetts, they had a meeting that the librarians called together. They're calling it Earth Optimism, and they brought together environmental groups that are talking about creating a shared calendar of climate change things happening in the greater Springfield area. So I went on work time. You know, I like ask over and over, like, can I do that? You know, and get release time. And I guess as mentors, especially, you know, to keep doing these things and encouraging our mentees to work on that level as well. And, you know, gently pressuring all the time, like our higher ups, like they get this is part of what we do. We show up as community advocates for this kind of learning and community resilience.
That might be a great webinar topic or a presentation to talk about the lines, because I know when I was working at a nonprofit, we weren't supposed to get involved in anything that would be considered political, and it relates to kind of laws and regulations relating to lobbying and things like that, and could affect funding. I don't know if it was mostly federal funding, but it might be a good presentation because people are at different types of libraries, and might give people courage to know kind of where have an attorney lead it maybe, and where to draw the line, and what you can do on your own, and maybe what is safe to do within your organization, or maybe even just check with your organization's policies.
I think those are all very good points. Carolyn had posted in the chat that she's interested in sustainability, but being a grad student and looking for her intern and a job, she'll probably ask Kayla, her mentor, how she can make sure when looking for a job in a specific location, is she can be sure she's allowed to do something with sustainability. So even maybe in that interviewing process, asking people in the libraries what they have done, what they are doing on campus or in the community is a very good point.
I couldn't quite gather who made that great suggestion about a webinar about where to draw the line.
That was David.
Oh, okay. David, I'll be in touch. I like your idea.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's how we get things done. You know, you have an idea, make it happen. And I love that, like with Sustain RT, we have the flexibility of just like, this is our group. We'll just be like, get a Zoom link and like make a webinar happen. It can be as informal as this, and put it on the, you know, listserv and encourage everybody to show up.
Sure, yeah, I'd be glad to help.
Okay, I will be in touch. I'm doing a time check. We have 10 more minutes officially. I don't know if, has anybody not shared yet that would like to? Oh, and Danny said something great. If people aren't reading chat, she's really glad, Evie, that you mentioned the social justice Native voices end of all this. Sometimes that piece of the pillars of sustainability gets lost. She thinks it must be helpful for mentees to hear these stories from mentors so they have a more holistic vision of what sustainability means and who it must include. Right. So I guess we're talking about a just transition is the term that I'm hearing and needs to be said in that way and other ways. And then Brian said that he agrees with Danny, the environmental element is generally what gets people started in sustainability efforts, but they need to be aware of the other pillars. True, true, true.
I can add one more thing. It's kind of tangential to the group, but online on Twitter, there's a wonderful climate book discussion that happens once a month. And I guess it's the hashtag Climate Book Club. And Leah Stokes, who's a poli-sci professor at Santa Barbara, is kind of leading that. And so they're alternating between a nonfiction and a fiction book dealing with climate issues monthly. And it's top-notch, really nice community to be a part of, and some very thought-provoking questions and comments in that Twitter discussion.
Thanks, Evie. Yeah, if anybody has other useful resources, please share them. Just jump in on the mic or put it in the chat if that works better for you. I'll mention something. Every first, third, and fifth Tuesday night here on the East Coast, it's 9 to 10 p.m. So it is a kind of sleepy time, but I still do it when I'm able. They're called Safe Circle Calls, and they are facilitated by an author named Dean Spillane Walker. They're free, and they're just a 1 hour container in which we have a Zoom conversation, just kind of checking in with how people are kind of navigating the climate change reality. And it's a really amazing opportunity to just, like this, very informal, people just come on and off the mic and just kind of check in about what they're doing in their communities around resiliency building and how they're emotionally managing, you know, the truths that they're reading about and seeing with their own eyes. I mean, we had somebody coming in from during the California wildfires that he had just lived through and told his story. So it can be very, very real and on the ground, and a really, I find, a very healing place. So if anyone's interested, you can ask me offline or just Google Safe Circle Calls and Dean Spillane Walker. And you just show up. You get on the email reminder list. You don't have to register. It's totally free. David, you're wondering if Sustain RT has ever reached out to AILA, the American Indian Library Association, to invite members to be part of Sustain RT. I don't know if that's happened so formally. We did co-sponsor a program. Sorry, a little foggy on the details now. It was like a year or more ago. I don't know if anybody has been around long enough to remember better than me, better than I can look back in the programming, but sure, there's more room to do that, and I will take that as an invitation, being on the membership chair. We should talk about that. Jamie, Brian, Danny, and Marcia. Great idea. Thanks, David.
And then just to continue that thought, if there are other groups too that we should be reaching out to that you know of, let us know. By all means, we can reach out.
Yeah. And also, I'll just make like a sort of suggestion. Whenever I give a talk, or I've been giving a few webinars here and there, I plop in a slide about Sustain RT. So when I'm talking to other librarians about environmental climate change things, they don't often know that there is this roundtable. So if you have just like a little bit of space in a talk that you're giving, make a pitch and an invitation for people to add the roundtable to their membership. It's only $10 and free for LIS students. Or if you feel inclined to write something, if you're putting something in like a statewide library newsletter, want to write a short blurb, there's, you know, just great to always be inviting in people who are often like so relieved, like, oh, I never knew this existed. And I know for myself, I was not involved with ALA at all until the roundtable started. And then I'm like kicking myself, like I wish I'd been more involved, earlier. I didn't feel like I had like a reason to be, and now I do. Well, I'm feeling a lull. I wonder if that's a natural time to kind of wrap up, and if anybody has last questions, thoughts, sharing, stories, this is your moment. Danny?
Appreciate the work that the mentoring committee or whatever you're called has done. I know it's a lot of extra work, and it's another great way for people to step up what they're doing, if they want to, to partner and learn from each other. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, David. And I do want to pause and ask if anybody has any announcements, specifically like things happening in the field, or I think Tim might have something to share before we all sign off and give our gratitudes. Tim?
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry I'm late.
Yes, we hear you.
Thanks. I'm working with an electrician today to get solar panels on my house, and have done an interesting talk at our local West Philadelphia tool library on solar panels, and just wanted to mention to people that there's this historic moment when a lot of corporations are getting rid of their used panels, or getting rid of panels, donating them, and we're connected with a local not-for-profit getting thousands of them and then reselling them for $20 a piece. So if you know any not-for-profits, especially in the East Coast, who want a cheap way to get into solar, it's a good thing. And you may be able to replicate this success in your area, especially if you hook up with some, like a tool library or some kind of a local initiative of DIY folks, because it's not that hard.
That's great.
That's awesome, Tim.
What are the corporations doing? They replacing with more efficient panels, or are they giving up?
Yeah, more efficient panels are coming down the pike. So 10-year-old panels, they're basically dumping them, and it's depreciated.
Oh, really?
And yeah, but it's like a used car. It's got a lot of value in it still.
Tim, can you put a link in the chat, either your email and or the name of the group doing the work?
Sure, sure.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, that's great. How gross to think of those winding up in landfills.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for doing this. And my, I think my mentee is here, and we're excited to keep working on this together.
That's so great. Network of support.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, it looks like we're nearing our end. Any last thoughts from the committee?
This is Danny again. I just wanted to thank everyone who could make it today. I'm really pleased with the turnout, and the level of conversation has been fantastic. So I think some of us are leaving with new ideas and maybe some new energy to go forth with the program. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you all. Have a wonderful start to the week.
Okay.